All right, what is going on, everyone? It is currently March 15th, or I'm sorry, 3:26 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday, March 15th. I'm re-recording this. We got to get something out for March Madness. So let me pull it up here on my phone. I'm sorry, on my iPad. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. James is supposed to call me here in 30 minutes, roughly, to talk some football. So I got to make this quick. And as I say that, someone is calling me, but it says spam. So, going to talk some basketball here. Going to try not to spend too much time on it. Let's go ahead and start in the South Regional. Number 1 overall seed, Alabama. Number 2 seed, Arizona. Number 3 seed, Baylor. Number 4 seed, Virginia. My initial thoughts are that Alabama should be able to win this regional, but I'm not going to pick them to win this regional. So, in this regional, I like Alabama and Arizona to meet in the Elite Eight. Sweet 16 is Bama, Virginia, Creighton, and Arizona. I don't like the way Baylor's been playing lately, and like I said, Bama and Arizona meeting in the Elite Eight. I am going to take Arizona to get to the Final Four. Really, Arizona's a school I just can't seem to quit. They shoot the ball well. They're long. They rebound. They have scoring depth. I think that they pose a lot of problems for Alabama, and for whatever reason, I just don't buy Alabama as the best team in the country. I think what's going on off the court involving Brandon Miller is going to play a factor in this team too. I wouldn't say been out of sorts, but they have not been as dominant the last few weeks. So I do think that they're vulnerable. I also question whether or not they have scoring depth outside Brandon Miller. So that is the South Regional. I don't really have any first round upsets. I do have West Virginia over Maryland in the first round. I think West Virginia is going to benefit from not being in the Big 12 anymore. They also are a better offensive team than Maryland. Maryland also doesn't force a lot of turnovers, and that's usually the way to beat West Virginia. So give me the Mountaineers to win. Don't think Charleston's going to beat San Diego State. San Diego State, physical team, likes to slow the pace down. I think that's going to benefit them. I don't think Furman shoots the ball well enough from three-point territory to beat Virginia's defense, so give me the Virginia. I'm not going to go with NC State over Creighton. I've seen that as a popular pick. I don't think NC State should be in the tournament. I think Creighton's better than people think, which is why I have Creighton beating Baylor in the second round. Don't like the way Baylor's been playing the last few weeks, and they're vulnerable defensively. Creighton's really athletic offensively, so I think that's a good matchup for the Blue Jays. I guess the other matchup I'm going to take in this regional is Utah State over Missouri. Can't figure out Missouri. Missouri is 24-9, got to the semifinals of the SEC, which I think is an impressive feat. But the computers don't really like them. They're ranked in the 50s, one of the lesser teams in the tournament. They're not a very good defensive team either. So give me Utah State. Not really confident in it, though. All right, the East Regional. This one is going to be hard to predict. I think there's a very good chance this is the ugliest regional when it's all said and done. I could see upsets galore because Purdue is the weakest 1 seed, Marquette is the weakest 2 seed, Kansas State is the weakest 3 seed, and Tennessee is probably the weakest 4 seed. If Tennessee was healthy, I'd probably pick Tennessee to win this regional. But without Ziegler, they haven't been the same team. Duke is a scary team, I think. But is Duke playing that much better, or is the ACC that bad? Because the ACC, according to the computers, is pretty bad. So I question Duke as well. A team I could see Memphis making a run. I could see Oral Roberts making a run. Probably Michigan State or USC too. So anyway, let's get to picks. First round matchups, don't really have many. I don't think I have any upsets in the first round. I do like Memphis to get by FAU. I'm going to take Duke over Oral Roberts, Tennessee over Louisiana. I am going to take Kentucky over Providence, even though I swore off Kentucky last year. I like Kansas State to move on. Most intriguing matchup is probably that 8-9 game Memphis FAU or Michigan State USC. I also think Vermont could give Marquette trouble. But I am going to take Marquette to win, and I am going to go with Michigan State over USC. Tom Izzo is the better head coach, and I think that's going to benefit the Spartans. So This is when it gets a little nuts. A little nuts. I do like Purdue to get by Memphis, even though I've seen a lot of people pick Memphis. I still think Zach Edey's a problem for opposing teams, even though Memphis is really good at forcing turnovers and Purdue struggles to take care of the basketball. I am going to go with the Boilermakers. I like Zach Edey a lot, and I just think teams are going to have a hard time defending him. I am going to go with Duke over Tennessee. I'm going to go with Kansas State over Kentucky. Like I said, I swore off Kentucky. My big upset, though, in this regional comes in the Michigan State-Marquette game. Shaka Smart is a coach that I do not trust in the tournament, which is weird to say because he's been to a Final Four. However, that Final Four was 12 years ago. And since then, he has a record of 2-8 in the tournament. Has not won a tournament game since 2013. I do not trust Shaka Smart in the NCAA tournament anymore. And it's not like he didn't have talent. He had talent at VCU. He had talent at Texas. I don't trust him. So I think coaching matters in basketball, so give me Tom Izzo. He's the better head coach. So Sweet 16, I got Purdue, Duke, Kansas State, and Michigan State. I am going to take Purdue over Duke, but I'm not confident in it. I think Duke could beat Purdue, but again, I'm going to ride with Zach Edey, and I think Duke benefited from a weak ACC. I am going to take Kansas State over Michigan State. Michigan State's going to have to make baskets at some point, which is something they have not done at a consistent level this season. So I like Kansas State to advance. And honestly, I think Kansas State has a favorable path to the Elite Eight anyway. Like I said, I don't trust Kentucky, don't trust Marquette. Their toughest matchup might come in that Michigan State-USC game. So I got Purdue and Kansas State. I will take Purdue to get to the Final Four. I think Zach Edey's just going to be too much trouble for teams. But again, this regional, I'm not confident in it with any of these picks. I think this regional is up for grabs, and when it's all said and done, I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of red in this regional because they got picks wrong. So let's go to the other side of the bracket. Midwest Regional. Houston is the number 1 seed, Texas the number 2 seed, Xavier the number 3 seed, Indiana the number 4 seed. I have a hard time picking against Houston. But as far as first round matchups, I do like Auburn over Iowa. I just don't trust Fran McCaffrey in the tournament. Has not won. I couldn't tell you the last time. Well, he did win a tournament game, I guess, in 2021. But has never made it outside the first weekend. Just not a very good tournament coach, which I do think is a thing. Like, how good are you in the tournament? Like I just said with Shaka Smart. Don't trust Fran McCaffrey. Auburn has talent. They defend a whole lot better than Iowa does. And I think Bruce Pearl's he's a much better head coach than McCaffrey. So give me Auburn. I am going to take Drake over Miami. Miami's banged up. I think they're vulnerable. Drake's an experienced team, has made the tournament quite a few times the last few years. Give me Drake. And then another upset, I'm going to take Kent State over Indiana. Kent State's, I think, a dangerous team. Kent State has played or has been challenged in the regular season. They played Houston. They played Gonzaga. They've played tournament teams and had good showings in those games. I think they're a dangerous team, and I think Indiana's in trouble. Give me the Golden Flashes to win. And then I do like Iowa State over Pitt. Another upset here. I will be taking Penn State over A&M. Penn State's just playing really well. They played well to end the regular season. They played well in the Big Ten tournament. They're shooting the ball well. Jalen Pickett's going to be a problem for A&M, I think. Not confident in it because I think Buzz Williams is a good coach. But give me Penn State, and then, I got Texas over Colgate and Xavier over Kennesaw State. So, Sweet 16, I got Houston, and then I am going to take Drake over Kent State. So, Houston, Drake, Xavier, and Texas. I think Houston has a pretty favorable path to the Elite Eight. They should get by Northern Kentucky. I don't think Iowa or Auburn poses much of a threat. Miami could beat them. I'm not really sold on Indiana. So they got a pretty favorable draw here to get to the Elite Eight, I think. And then I got them playing Drake, and I just don't think Drake has what it takes to beat them. So give me Houston in the Elite Eight. And then I am going to take Texas over Xavier in the Sweet 16. So I got a Texas Elite Eight matchup here, and Houston and Texas in the Midwest Regional. I've seen a lot of people pick Texas, and I was tempted to do it too. But I really think Houston's going to be a tough team to beat, especially if Marcus Sasser's healthy, which I'm banking on him to be. His status is kind of up in the air right now. But again, like, he's going to get some time. If Houston gets to this point, which I think they do, that's why I brought up their favorable draw. It's going to give him more time to get healthy. And even if he's not 100%, I think that they have a roster full of guys who can get productive, who they can rely on. They've had 4 different scorers, 4 different players, I should say, score at least 20 points in a single game. Sasser obviously makes up for most of that, but they have depth. They're long. They rebound well. They play insanely good defense. And I don't trust Texas with an interim head coach, even though he's done a really good job this year. So give me the Cougars to win that game. The West Regional is going to be the toughest regional in the tournament. I think Kansas is an overseeded 1 seed. I think UCLA is an underseeded 2 seed. Gonzaga is about right as a 3 seed, but they're red hot right now. And I think UConn's an underseeded 4 seed. So, and even St. Mary's is an underseeded 5, I think. So Kansas is going to have its work cut out for it to get back to the Final Four and defend its title, which is why, spoiler alert, I don't have Kansas winning this regional. So first round matchups, I do have Illinois over Arkansas. I think let me go back. I have Illinois over Arkansas. Don't want to do it. I think Eric Musselman's a really good tournament coach, but they're hobbling to the finish line. Doesn't really bode well for the tournament. I am going to take VCU over St. Mary's. St. Mary's is just a program I do not trust in the tournament, mostly because the media always hypes up Gonzaga, and we're like, us casual fans are like, well, who has Gonzaga played? And the media says, oh, well, they've played St. Mary's. And I'm always like, St. Mary's isn't that good. So I just don't trust St. Mary's. Come tournament time, VCU is going to want to speed the game up, which I think could cause problems for St. Mary's. So give me the Rams. I was actually kind of tempted to pick Iona over UConn just because of Rick Pitino, but I will take UConn to win that game. TCU should beat Arizona State or Nevada. I do have Arizona State winning that first 4 game. Gonzaga should take care of business. I am going to take Boise State over Northwestern. Northwestern's not a very good offensive team. They average fewer than 70 points a game. I think it's around 67 points per game. Not going to be good enough. I think Boise State's a dangerous offensive team. They don't really play position basketball. They play positionless basketball, and I just don't think they're afraid. And they do a better job of making shots, and I think that's going to be a problem for Northwestern. So I believe this is the only bracket where I have chalk up to the Sweet 16. I have Kansas, UConn, Gonzaga, UCLA, 1-4-3-2, chalk. But this is when I get a little nuts. I am going to pick UConn over Kansas. Like I said, I think UConn's a dangerous team. They shoot the ball well, and they rebound very well. They're one of the few teams in the country who, I think I read that they shot the ball. Sorry, my mom's texting me. She's coming to visit. They shot the ball, I think, upwards of 50% from the field and close to 40% from 3, and they still are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. I think that's a problem for opposing teams, and that is usually something that translates well to the NCAA tournament. And then Kansas struggles to rebound. I think this is a bad matchup for them. And I also question whether or not Bill Self is really ready to coach after his health scare in the Big 12 tournament. I hate bringing that up, but it's true. So give me the Huskies. Gonzaga, UCLA, I went back and forth on this one, but I just don't trust Gonzaga. I can never trust Gonzaga. This team is not the team that Gonzaga has had in recent years. Don't think Gonzaga is challenged enough in the months of January, February, and March. I think I read that looked up that they have not played a team above 75th in Ken Pomeroy's rankings since December 2nd. I think that's a problem. So I'm going to go with UCLA. So then I have UConn and UCLA in the Elite Eight in this regional. And I'm going to go with UConn. Going to keep riding with UConn. If Jalen Clark was healthy, I'd pick UCLA. I think his injury is going to impact UCLA's ability to make a really deep run, like to the Final Four. And like I said, I think UConn's just a dangerous team. Vastly underseeded. Go look at the computers. Ken Pomeroy, ESPN BPI, they both have the Huskies ranked in the top 4 or 5 in the country, and they're a 4 seed. So I think UConn's dangerous. Like I said, they're long, they're athletic, they shoot the ball well, they rebound well. That translates to March. So I'm going to go with UConn in the Final Four. So then that brings me to the Final Four. I got Arizona, Purdue, Houston, and UConn. Feels like the end of the road for Purdue. I'm not convinced they're even going to make it this far. And even if they do, I think Arizona poses a problem for them because I doubt that Purdue has the scoring depth outside of Zach Edey. And then on top of that, Arizona's long. They rebound well. I think they are a good matchup they match up well with Purdue. And then on top of that, they have scoring depth. And I think that's going to be a problem for Purdue. So give me the Wildcats in the national championship. Houston and UConn, 2 teams that I think are underseeded. Or not underseeded, are not getting enough attention, very good. But I'm going to go with Houston. Houston, and this kind of gives away my national championship pick. If Marcus Sasser is healthy, I think Houston is the most dangerous team in the tournament. And it's going to be hard for teams to beat Houston, I think. So I think Houston is going to beat UConn. And then I got Arizona, Houston in the national championship. And, Arizona was good enough to win the national title last year until they met a defensive buzzsaw in Houston in the Sweet 16. I think the same thing's going to happen. Houston does a lot of things really well that I think translate to March. They are a really good defensive team. It's hard to make shots against them. They're long. They're athletic. They have scoring depth like Arizona. They have 4 different players score at least 20 points in a single game. So even if you defend Sasser, you got to account for 3 other guys who can score 20 on a given night. And then on top of that, the Final Four's in Houston. If Houston gets to the Final Four, it's going to be a home game for them. And I think that's a problem. So I am going to go with the Cougars to win the national title. So that is my March Madness preview. James and I hopefully will have a podcast come out later in the week, hopefully tomorrow. Today's Wednesday, hopefully Thursday. We'll have a podcast about some breaking news in the NFL. So that'll do it. Football might be over, everyone, but we got some good basketball ahead. I think this has a chance to be a really special tournament because we have 7 or 8 schools, I think, who had arguments for number 1 seeds. You rarely see that many schools with that kind of an argument. We got a lot of strong mid-majors, I think, with tournament experience. This has a chance to be a really entertaining tournament. So these next couple of days are going to be really fun, and I'm looking forward to it.